Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stepped inside a palace that everyone feared? A place so old that even history refused to tell its complete story. Tonight, we uncover one of the darkest legends ever whispered. And before we begin, if you enjoy mysterious stories filled with suspense and forgotten secrets, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join us for more unforgettable adventures. Hidden deep within a lonely mountain valley stood an ancient palace that no map clearly marked. Its towering walls had survived centuries of storms, wars, and earthquakes, yet no one had lived there for hundreds of years. Travelers avoided the area. Shepherds refused to let their animals wander close to it. Even birds seemed to fly around the palace instead of above it. The villagers called it the Palace of Shadows. No one remembered who had built it. Some believed it belonged to a powerful king. Others claimed it had never belonged to humans at all. Among those fascinated by the legend was a young historian named Ethan. Unlike everyone else, he did not believe in ghosts or curses. He believed every mystery had a logical explanation. When Ethan discovered an old journal hidden inside a forgotten library, everything changed. The journal contained only a few readable pages. Most of the writing had faded with time. But one sentence remained perfectly clear. The palace does not hide treasure. It hides the truth. Those words refused to leave Ethan's mind. A week later, carrying only a flashlight, a camera, food, and the mysterious journal, Ethan began his journey toward the forgotten palace. The mountain path was quiet. Too quiet. The deeper he walked, the colder the air became. Strange fog rolled between ancient trees, hiding everything beyond a few feet. Every now and then, Ethan thought he heard footsteps behind him. Whenever he turned around, nothing. After several hours, the trees opened into a vast clearing. There it stood. The ancient palace looked even larger than the stories described. Massive stone towers reached into the gray sky. Broken statues lined the entrance, their faces worn away by time. The giant wooden gates stood open. Almost as if they had been waiting. Taking a deep breath, Ethan stepped inside. The silence was overwhelming. Dust floated through thin beams of sunlight breaking in through cracked ceilings. Torn banners hung from enormous walls. Every footstep echoed across endless empty halls. Then he noticed something strange. There wasn't a single spider web. Not one. How could an abandoned palace remain so clean? Trying to ignore the uneasy feeling growing inside him, Ethan continued exploring. The palace seemed impossible. Corridors twisted in directions that made no sense. Some doors led back to rooms he had already left. Long hallways appeared longer each time he walked through them. His compass spun wildly. His watch stopped ticking. Then, a loud door slammed somewhere behind him. Ethan rushed back. Every door remained exactly where it had been. No sign of movement. No wind, he whispered. So what closed the door? He forced himself to stay calm. This place is just old. That explanation sounded convincing. Until he found the footprints. Fresh footprints. In the dust. Someone had walked there recently. The tracks continued down another hallway before disappearing against a blank stone wall. Ethan examined the wall carefully. Nothing. No door. No opening. No hidden passage. It was as if whoever made the footprints had simply walked into solid stone. A cold chill ran down his spine. Night slowly approached. Knowing it was too dangerous to leave through the mountains after dark, Ethan decided to spend the night inside one of the palace rooms. He built a small lantern, checked his supplies, and placed his camera nearby. Outside, thunder rolled across the mountains. Rain began falling. Around midnight, he woke suddenly. Someone was whispering. Very softly. He couldn't understand the words. The whispers echoed through the hallway beyond the room. Ethan grabbed his flashlight. The corridor was empty. But the whispering continued. It seemed to come from everywhere. Walls. Ceilings. Even beneath the floor. Following the strange voices, Ethan reached the palace's central hall. There stood an enormous throne carved from black stone. Behind it hung a giant mirror covered by an old cloth. The whispers stopped. Everything became silent. Curious, Ethan slowly pulled the cloth away. The mirror reflected the room perfectly. Except one thing. His reflection wasn't moving. Ethan stepped backward. The reflection remained standing still. His heart pounded. Then the reflection smiled. Ethan had not. The smiling figure slowly raised one hand. A message appeared across the mirror in dark letters. You should never have entered. The lights went out. Darkness swallowed everything. A loud heartbeat echoed through the hall. Boom. 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 When Ethan switched on his flashlight again, the mirror was empty. The message had vanished. Only his frightened reflection stared back. Breathing heavily, he convinced himself stress was playing tricks on his mind. But as he turned to leave, he noticed fresh footprints again. This time, they were surrounding him. Dozens of them. Yet no one else was there. Before Ethan could react, a deep rumbling shook the palace. The black throne slowly slid aside by itself. Hidden beneath it was a narrow staircase descending into complete darkness. Cold air drifted upward. Along with the unmistakable smell of something ancient. Something that had remained sealed for centuries. Ethan pointed his flashlight into the darkness. The beam revealed stone steps disappearing far below. At the very first step lay a rusted metal key. Attached to it was a small tag. On it were only 5 chilling words. Do not wake the king. Ethan stared into the darkness, unaware that the true horror of the ancient palace had only just begun. Ethan stared at the rusted key resting on the first stone step. The small metal tag still swung gently as if someone had placed it there only moments before. Do not wake the king. His instincts told him to leave. Every strange event inside the palace, the moving hallways, the mysterious footprints, the smiling reflection in the mirror, pointed to one simple truth. This place wanted him gone. Yet the historian inside him refused to turn back. If people had protected this secret for centuries, there had to be a reason. Taking a deep breath, Ethan picked up the key and began descending the narrow staircase. The air grew colder with every step. The walls became damp, covered in ancient symbols carved into black stone. Some looked like crowns. Others resembled frightened faces trapped inside circles. The silence became unbearable. Then, a distant bell rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. Its deep echo rolled through the underground passage like a warning. Ethan finally reached the bottom. Before him stood a gigantic underground chamber unlike anything he had ever imagined. Hundreds of stone pillars stretched into darkness. Massive statues of forgotten kings stood on either side, their eyes fixed on the center of the room. There rested a golden coffin. Chains wrapped around it from every direction. Each chain carried strange glowing seals. The entire chamber seemed built for one purpose. To make sure whatever slept inside never escaped. As Ethan stepped closer, he noticed another faded inscription carved into the floor. The king was never buried because he died. He was buried because he could not. A cold shiver ran through his body. Just then, his flashlight flickered. For a split second, he thought he saw dozens of shadowy figures standing between the pillars. When the light steadied again, they were gone. Or so he hoped. Suddenly, a soft voice echoed behind him. You came at last. Ethan spun around. An old man wearing a long gray robe stood in the shadows. His face was pale, but his eyes were calm. "I have been waiting for someone brave enough to listen," the old man said. He explained that centuries ago, a powerful king ruled the land with endless greed. He searched for immortality and found an ancient force hidden beneath the mountains. The dark power granted his wish. But it came with a terrible curse. The king could never truly die. Instead, every 100 years, he awakened hungry for more souls. To stop him, the palace priests trapped him inside the underground chamber using sacred chains and sealed the entrance forever. But people forgot the truth, the old man whispered. They remembered only the ghost stories. Ethan looked at the coffin. "So, you're one of the priests?" The old man smiled sadly. "I was." Before Ethan could ask another question, the old man's body slowly faded into mist. He had been a spirit all along. At that exact moment, a loud crack echoed through the chamber. One of the glowing chains snapped. Then another. And another. The ground shook violently. The golden coffin began to tremble. Dark smoke poured from the tiny gaps between its lid and base. A deep voice filled the chamber. "I am awake." The remaining chains exploded apart. The coffin lid slid open by itself. A towering figure slowly rose from within. He wore a broken golden crown. His royal robes had turned black with age. His glowing eyes burned like fire in the darkness. The cursed king had awakened. The temperature dropped instantly. Every shadow in the chamber began moving toward him like loyal servants returning to their master. Ethan remembered the rusted key in his pocket. There had to be a reason it had been left for him. Looking around desperately, he spotted an enormous stone door behind the throne-like altar. At its center was a single keyhole. He ran toward it as the king followed, each heavy step shaking the floor. The whispers returned, louder than ever. The shadows reached for Ethan's feet, trying to pull him back. His flashlight shattered. Only the faint glow of the ancient symbols lit his path. With trembling hands, he pushed the rusted key into the lock. It fit perfectly. The door slowly opened. Inside was a circular chamber where a brilliant crystal floated above an ancient pedestal. Written beneath it were the words, "Only the light of truth can imprison eternal darkness." Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed the crystal. The moment he touched it, blinding white light filled the underground palace. The cursed king let out a roar so powerful that the pillars cracked. The shadows dissolved into smoke. The crystal rose from Ethan's hands and floated into the air. Brilliant beams of light wrapped around the king like glowing chains. "No," the king thundered. "This kingdom is mine." The light only grew stronger. Slowly, the king's body turned to stone. His roar faded into silence. Within seconds, he became nothing more than another statue among the forgotten rulers. The palace stopped shaking. The whispers disappeared. Peace finally returned. As dawn broke over the mountains, Ethan climbed back to the surface. The heavy fog surrounding the palace slowly lifted for the first time in centuries. Sunlight touched the ancient walls. The building no longer felt cursed. It felt free. When Ethan looked back one last time, he noticed something strange. The giant palace was beginning to crumble. Stone by stone, it collapsed into the mountain, as though its purpose had finally ended. Within minutes, only scattered ruins remained. The terrifying secret had been buried forever. Ethan published everything he had discovered. Many people dismissed it as fiction. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notification. We have many more mysterious legends, forgotten kingdoms, haunted places, and chilling adventures waiting for you. Until our next story, remember this.